Hey, welcome back to the Community Podcast here on Big Condo Radio. And I would like to also say that I've been told I don't often do our own self-promotion enough. So I would just like to say, can you please like and subscribe if you like the content here on Big Condo Radio. We just started back up again in our new season, and we endeavor to bring you interesting stories, interesting content with people within our community. But then sometimes they don't want to leave, and they keep coming back. That happens with the case of our next guest or our present guest. Our guest will probably be here at another point in time. Is James Diboe. How you doing, James?
How you doing, Chase? Good to be back on for the third time.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
Oh man, we're going steady. But either way you look at it is, I don't mind actually bringing you back in, James, because I think that sometimes with all the knowledge that you've encountered in your travels, there's so much and everything. But I also would like people to know that they can actually kind of like explore more with you, and because I know that we talked about that return project, but I mean you are also on the social platforms yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean where people can actually kind of like, hey, I like what you're talking about, and do you know about this? Do you know about that?
Yeah.
I mean, where can people find you in that aspect?
Well, it's the Instagram Culturolution CIC.
Culturals?
Yeah, better spell that. Culturolution CIC. CulturalUtion CIC. That's Instagram. Eventually, I'm going to be setting up a page on Facebook as well. I've got my own personal that's being used at the moment, but I'm going to do my own separate page. Added on to the site.
I just think that is well for people to endeavor to seek you out and do that, because I mean obviously there's a lot of pictures and videos, PowerPoints, and all of that kind of stuff from your travels and everything, and so I just wanted to be able to say that people should be looking into that. But then what I did say is that I said, okay, well the thing that seems to be of huge excitement to you obviously are the tribes that you've encountered. So let's just kind of see if we could do a little bit more on that, because I mean one of them that I actually know of, and I'm pretty sure other people would know of, is the Maasai warriors, right? Now the Maasai, we've seen the Maasai warriors represented in movies a lot. They're usually dressed in red, and they're known as most like the fierce fighters, in Africa. So can you tell us a little bit more behind that about the Maasai?
Yeah, well, originally the Maasai didn't actually indigenous to Kenya. They're actually indigenous to South Sudan. They came into Kenya about 3000 BC. So when they've entered, obviously they've came, and the cattle has been given to them by their god. Their god's name is Ngai. And when I had a conversation with one of the Maasai tribes, this was the chief, the soon-to-be chief, because the mother was the chief. The mother was about 99, 100 close. Now, I wasn't actually aware that one time women could actually be chiefs.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually aware of that.
In Native Indian cultures, there's a lot of female chiefs.
Yeah, because most people believe men are chiefs only. Some people, I don't know where.
That's the illusion that is
That's
portrayed.
The illusion, yeah. But anyway, so we said that the Pray on the Mountain, that's like a sacred place. They believe in one God, but they believe in that the Ngai is duality. So he can do good things, he can do bad things.
Wow, that's interesting.
But that's just like the force of nature, if you really think about it.
Well, it's also like the yin and yang. So
Like the
I mean,
yin
we're
and
going
yang.
to talk about the Japanese culture. So I mean, that's really interesting that that comes from there as well.
And I find this with a lot of tribes. There's a lot of similarity I find with tribes. Obviously, they've all got their own little different things and that.
Of course, yeah.
But the duality is there. I find it in Sri Lanka. I mean, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I find it a lot of places. And also, they believe that the sky was once with the earth. And then since that was from the beginning, the sky was once with the earth, and it's separated. And they say Ngai separated it, so there's loads of interesting things what they say. And
I would be curious about that, only because it's like the sky and the earth are already separated. You know what I mean? So I mean,
they were one before.
I just wanted to know how they envisioned that, because it's kind of like I studied a lot of Egyptology, I guess you could say, where the sky was represented as Nut, as a woman.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's kind of like in their sense of understanding, woman was sky and man was earth or something like that. So
Now back then it used to be matrilineal.
what'd you say?
It was matrilineal
What's
in
that mean?
ancient Egypt, where it comes from the line of the woman, the female. Where later on, there's times when it went patrilineal.
Ah, like matrilineal, like a
Yeah,
matriarchal.
yeah, matriarchal. So with it's changed, and there's been different reasons for matrilineal or patrilineal. There's different reasons at different times when it's needed.
That's interesting.
You know, if there's a reason to have it patrilineal, I think that was more when the religions
Well, wait a minute.
started.
Wait a minute. Let's play on this for a second
Yeah,
because, wasn't like in Egypt and Africa, wasn't they about the pantheon of gods, like being more than one? What is it? Polytheistic? Weren't they polytheistic?
going back before, no,
So they were monotheistic.
yeah, originally the same with a lot of these places were monotheism originally. Now,
Well,
and I'll explain.
oh, please do because
Okay,
yeah,
you got Amun Ra.
yes,
That's the name of the
the
god.
sun god, yes.
Yeah. Now, if you go, there is one divine creator. They knew there's a divine creator from the beginning, you know. And you'll find this a lot of places. Then later on, things change about in the last, say, 4,000 to 5,000, say about 4,000 years.
Yeah.
Especially due to the Hyksos that invaded Egypt about 1675 BC. So, and little invasions before that, and then you've had the Persians, you've had Egypt being invaded too many times.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as one divine creator, it goes back to what I said about the Maasai tribes about believing God is not just, it's dual, but it's still the same person.
Wow.
It's like a split personality.
No,
Same
that's very
per-
interesting.
It's
Yeah.
the same person, but he's got a split personality. So I think over the years, what someone's done is took the negative and put the devil there, and someone took the good and put God there. Like it's separated. So you've got good here, you have bad here, where the universe and the forces of nature are in one. If you look at a hurricane come, one day wipes you all out. Then you could look sunshine in another day. So that's the understanding the forces of nature.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think this is the first kind of teachings, you can say spirituality, whatever you want to call it. But in the beginning, you know, people have got to figure out nature, and not just figuring out nature. How are you going to respond to nature?
Yeah.
That's we're not in this day and age what we're in now. Not too many people are responding to nature properly.
No, no. I mean, and but the way they responded was they personified it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like it had a natural humanity archetype to it.
Yeah,
But also too is that the Angai scenario that you mentioned about the Maasai is that Egyptians. Sorry if I keep coming up with Egyptians, but I'm trying to use that education. Is Hathor? Have you heard of Hathor?
Hathor.
Yeah, because she was like the cow goddess or whatever, and something like in Egypt and stuff.
You know, when you just said cow,
Cow, yes.
it's funny you say that because there's the golden calf that was worshipped in
Yes,
Egypt.
yes.
Now that's similar to in India when
Yeah.
you worship the cow, the great mother, the cow.
Well, the cow is sacred in
It's sacred.
in like I guess you could say in the Middle East or in
Yeah.
those areas and stuff. I
so-
mean, obviously because the cow gives milk,
Yeah.
and all of that other kind of stuff. So it was probably a source of nourishment,
Yeah.
So obviously they prayed to that kind of animal.
And there was a connection with Nile Valley civilizations and ancient India anyway.
Right.
And also they had the same god one time, the Hindus. Before there was Hinduism, they believed in the same god and you pray on the mountain. And it sounds very similar to the Maasai, because you have to remember the Maasai, even though it's Kenya, this area is very similar.
Yeah.
Like whether you call them Nubians but it's very interesting about the Maasai though, because you've got them in Tanzania as well.
Yeah.
You've got them in Zanzibar, and these are they're not the oldest tribe, like I said. There's Khoisan. They replaced the Khoisan when they came into Kenya. They're the oldest tribes, the Khoisan.
Yeah.
So when they replaced them, then later on you've got other Africans coming into Kenya. Bantus. Now this is a very, very interesting, you have to know about the Bantu, because this is the largest migration of Africans in the whole of Africa. No one's done what the they've done.
The Bantu tribe.
You've got them in Madagascar.
All right.
You've got them in East Africa. You've got them in South Africa. You've got them in West Africa.
What time is this?
Well, it starts off from a migration that lead from West Africa. And with West Africans, and here's a good example. In America, majority of the African Americans are West African descent. The same with the Caribbean. Obviously, some come from South Africa.
Yeah.
But I want to deal with the athletics. Look at the strongest. Who are they? The West Africans and Jamaicans, but they come from West Africa. Americans come from West Africa. Now, this is the same idea of why the Bantus were able to do their migration, because these are the strongest Africans. There's other Africans like Nilo-Saharan who have other attributes, but as far as the strength came from the Bantu. And the Bantu, now there's different dates. I believe the Bantu are going back from, they're more like the Niger Congo.
Yeah.
Now, if you read Bantu, they don't actually, it's a bit distorted where they go straight to East, like Cameroon.
Yeah, the Cameroons.
They started from there. I don't know why they started from there, but it's basically Niger Congo languages originally. And these have spread all through into Kenya. Like I was speaking to the Tourman in Kenya. And this was a great guy, Daniel. Well, it's not his proper name. They give their name.
Obviously.
Now, he was telling me that he's Bantu. Now, he's explaining to me that he was clearly explaining that he is Bantu, and some other Kenyans could be Nilo-Saharan, or there's mixtures, you see, like it's...
Yeah.
So it was interesting when he said Bantu, and Bantu is... They're everywhere. They're like sort of... You've got the people in the Pacific Island, the way they spread all over the Pacific. The Bantu are the same of Africa.
Yeah.
And I believe that the Bantus, they had something to do with ancient Egypt. And when I say Bantu, we have to study of the phenotype. And this is best explained because when people have taken slaves from Africa,
Yeah.
even when Arabs were taking slaves, they would have understood who they were taking when they said Bantu people.
Yeah.
You know who they're talking about. And you'll see African slaves, they went to India, some of them, China, and also Japan. You know, see, these things don't get talked about too much.
No, well, I don't think we hear of anything pre BC, because I mean that's what I find most fascinating about the knowledge that you have, and that you are always talking about, is you're talking about a period of time that people don't even bother looking at.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if it has nothing to do with Christ being born, then you know nobody. Was there anything happening? And like you're talking about 4,000 BC, or you know what I mean? You're talking about some period. Listen, I mean, you know, just so we trying to get to people, you wanted to talk about the Mani Ada tribes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're moving into Asia now. Now, now in Asia now, these are the melanated peoples of Asia. Now, they're like the hidden people. You don't see them on the news.
Are you trying to say these are the Black Asians?
These are the Black Asians, yeah.
Let's get it right then, bro.
Yeah, that's it. You know. So anyway, so when I was first researching and I was traveling around, I came across Ranoko Rashidi.
Yeah, we know, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I was traveling, researching, and then all of a sudden he started showing these black people of Asia several years ago. So I thought, I'm going to go and visit these because I'm visiting tribes anyway.
Yeah.
I visited the Mayans and, you know, different peoples and that. So I thought, that's nothing for me to go and do. It's just how am I going to get there. So we start off with Malaysia now. Now, this is like 2014. I was with my cousin, Daniel, and he wasn't as well-traveled, like I say, but when he came back, he felt like his life changed a lot. It opened his mind completely, do you know what I mean? And that was good for me to do that as well. And now, anyway, so we're going on this trip now, and I'm trying to find, you know, like you have tour operators. It's not just easy for your average tour operator. A lot of them didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
They said
they didn't even know their own country. You said sometimes.
And this is like shocking to me at the time, but it's not shocking now, because I was thinking, I'm going in all these tour operators. I'm asking about these tribes. How can I get there? And no one has any information. Then went in one final shop after about 20 shops, and then one person overheard the conversation, called me over and said, you're having a problem here because a lot of the people don't know the history of I know my history, and I'm going to give you the phone number, and you call this number. It's about 20-minute drive. You might have to get there. Okay, fine. Great. Got the number, called up. He said, get a taxi there. Took 20 minutes. So I'm sitting in the office now, and they're explaining to me about the Orange Asley tribe.
Yeah.
So I was made up. So got it sorted now. Now this is my first time in Asia doing the tribes now. So we hired a 4x4 Jeep. Now we actually done the trek. It wasn't just a private. This is the trek where you walk on the longest canopy in the world. You basically use the blowpipe. The blowpipe is what they use to kill the prey, obviously hunting, especially the tigers, because you got tigers all over there. So you better make sure
you
that
can hit a tiger with a blowpipe. That's massive.
These are professionals.
Well, obviously,
you and I might struggle to hit one, but
yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, yes. So they also have they bury the dead in like I remember they were burying the dead and you leave them in the trees for so many.
In the trees?
Yeah.
So they didn't burn them like the Vikings or anything like that?
So I said, well, won't the tigers come and eat them?
Yeah.
Said, no, we must do something to the bodies to keep them away. And also they got to meet the chief up there. Now the chief, they try, because what it is on the tour, they try and like keep you, they don't want you too close to the tribes.
No.
This is my first experience on the tour. So I looked up and there's the chief standing on a very high hill. So I've took a picture of him from far in case I don't get to meet him.
Yeah.
So now when me cousin's using the blowpipe, I said, I'm going to go up there and have a little chat with them. And the guy said, don't be long. So I went up there and got a picture with the chief up there and met more tribes, more footage. And it made sense to go up there. You've come a long drive, 5 hours. So then what happens then is that's the trip done. And that was the first experience of it. Now it's amazing to see what these people look like, because I've seen pictures of them, but when you see them face to face,
yeah,
they're no different looking than Africans or like Melanesians, people from like Papua New Guinea and
they're not like Aborigines or anything like that.
And it's funny how they don't look at all like the people there. Now that's down to
what do you think those differences
history
are? No, but what do you think those differences are?
Well, the difference is the people from the majority of the Malays came from China at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to deal with this in a sensible way, because you have to understand the Austronesian expansion. There's an Austronesian expansion that came out of Taiwan and southern China. Now this expansion, because if you go back to ancient China, south of China, 4,000 years ago, the skeletal remains were predominantly oceanic negroid type. That's how it's being described. And the Chinese came from the north. Now they don't want to tell you this, but if you do enough research, you can see it. Then it's like when Vietnam, you got people called the Hmong tribe who were visited in Vietnam. Now they are not indigenous to Vietnam.
Right.
They came about 2,000 years ago, from China. So the more you go back, the blacker it gets.
Wow.
This is how it is.
That's kind of like the Italians, where I forgot when the movie where they were trying to explain about the dark Italians, from Sicily or something like that.
Oh yeah.
The but
Moors.
but it's fascinating, really, what you're saying there, because you touched on it before, where you talked about the samurais and everything. That there was like black,
the black samurai.
And I think even actually, sadly, we just lost Chadwick Boseman, but I think he was working on an idea, to do that, like to do a movie about the first black samurai and everything, So hopefully somebody picks that up. But it's just weird, right? Because
what you're talking
about, hopefully it still happens.
Yeah.
But but you're talking about. This is what I like about when you come in or whatever, is that you're talking about stuff that, why is this blowing my mind? Why is this not like already known? It's like we're constantly thinking that black people began with the African slavery experience.
Yeah.
And even when Patrick came in, you're talking about all of this historical stuff, which leads us to like where you were saying that, why call it Black History when it's World History?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like the stuff that you're saying, I think, like I said, it's hard to cover in one podcast, but I want people just to be as fascinated as I am
yeah.
about the knowledge that's in your head. Because even when I hit you with something, you're ready, you're on it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Let's touch on the caste system and how that created. You were telling me about.
Okay, so when we were talking about Buddhism because I went
Yeah.
to Sri Lanka and it's predominantly Buddhist. Now, as I would start to Sri Lanka, because I met somebody out there, and I'd known a shopkeeper who lives in Liverpool 8, a Sri Lankan. Now, why I got on with him, because he's a Sri Lankan who hires black people to work for them.
Okay.
So this is one of the first things I noticed. He's hiring black people to work, and he hires anybody to work. He doesn't have, oh, I can only hire my own. So I got on with him, and I said, I'm taking the trip, this is 2017, and I'm going to be going around Asia. I'm going to be visiting a lot of tribes. I said, do you have anybody in Sri Lanka who I can? He said, me brother, and my brother's, he'll take you where you want. So we got a flight to Sri Lanka. I was coming straight from Malaysia, I think. Yeah, I was coming from there. And met his brother about 12 in the night, picked me up from Colombo. Now, we didn't stay in Colombo. This is the tallest day of Colombo. He took me to Kurunagala. It's about a 3-hour drive. And it was quite unusual, the experience, because I've never met these people.
Yeah.
Now I'm in the car with strange people, aren't I? It's about 12 in the night, and we're just driving for hours, and it's just no lights and nothing. It's pitch black, just bushes everywhere, and like, obviously, but I feel good anyway. And then when we
Yeah.
got there, we had to check into a hotel, but it weren't the place I was going to be staying. I had to stay in because it was late. You couldn't check into the village area,
Yeah.
whatever. So I stayed there, and then he said, we're going to take you to see the tribes in the next few days. So he took me a place called Dambana. Now, this is a place where the Vida tribes are.
Okay.
Or some people say Vida. Okay. Now, this is his first experience there. He's from this country, Sri Lanka. Now, we go on a 7-hour drive. We had to take 3 different buses to get there.
Yeah.
And it was. I like the journey, though, because you're getting to see everything along the way. So when we get there, he's introducing me to the tribes. Well, he speaks in their language, and he speaks little English. So he's interpreting for me. So I've asked him to ask them a question. I said, what do they believe? What do they believe, like God? What's their beliefs? So now he's a Buddhist.
Yeah.
So he's interpreting back, saying, oh, it's like sort of like God and devils. And now I know there's a bit more to it than just that. He's just putting it in a basic, obviously simple way. Now, he said that a lot of them become a Buddhist now. So now Buddhism, I've looked into it a bit, now I know where they come from. It comes from Hinduism.
You're right.
Now, I can clearly see the reason why Buddhism come, because 1,000 years before, when Hinduism went into religion, you see a caste system was created.
Yeah.
Now, this caste system seems like one of the beginnings of racism getting ready to go on a global level. Before they got to Africa, anyone.
Oh.
Yeah. People from Central Asia are supposed to have invaded India in about 1500 BC.
Wow.
Now, before this time, there was contact with Africa, doing trade with India, contact with Africa and China. It took about 1,000 years for them to conquer North Africa properly. Now, the 1,000 years later, they're fighting with the same people in the south now. All of them are called Dravidians, Dalits, they have all different names. So when Buddhism takes off, a lot of people are going to accept it in the south because there's no way out. Religion has been changed. It's got a caste system. And you can see in India, there's many different kind of complexions. Now in Sri Lanka, you're going to see more, you're going to find a lot more people like the Vida tribes. And it's very interesting, because some people wonder, well, how would you describe a Sri Lankan person or something?
Well, how would you?
Well, you got different people who've gone into these areas. You got even people, when people go into Australia in ancient times,
Right.
there's a connection with India and Australia. Now, how I know that is, obviously they've done trade, but there's DNA about about 2,000 to 4,000 years ago, and they figured out that 11% of Aboriginal Australians have Indian DNA. Now, this probably would be mixing from through trade. Now, what you look at it and think, well, some Aborigines have tight, very tight hair. Some of them have curly hair. Some of them have quite loose hair. Now, all these different diverse looks will probably explain of the different peoples that they've mixed with in ancient times.
Okay.
And then also, now in Malaysia, back to what we were saying with the Orange Asli tribe, Orange Asli means original people. Now, the names that they were given, they're given names like from when the Spanish places, they called negritos, and the kind of names they give them and that. Now, what I was disappointed on the tour,
All right.
the fact that the tour man told a few tales. He told many tales. Now, they're there to tell tales to divert tourists into believing that these are the original people.
Uh-huh.
They'll tell you that these tribes come from Papua New Guinea 200 years ago. That's a damn lie.
Wow.
You can just research yourself. Orange Asli, they've been there for like 35, 40,000, could even be more, like I say.
Yeah.
And I had to challenge him also, and sometimes tour men don't like people asking questions.
Yeah, they don't like you.
Especially if you know a bit more than them.
Oh, of course. I mean, yeah, I've been on a tour like that.
Yeah. So I got talking to a photographer that was there, and he said, "Can I jump in your ride on the way back?" Because I said, that's not a problem. But I was happy I did let him in because he was very smart. He had the ancient knowledge.
Yeah.
So along the way back, he was saying, he said he was disgusted with the tour man giving us that information. He says he can't believe that they're hiring people to do this.
Well, I got to just say, man, like, there's rarely a person like you on those tours. I mean, I've been to, like Egypt and Luxor, a couple of times, and like the main thing about it is that it is a lot of like white tourism.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in our today's time of like, white privilege wants to be educated, and so they go and they want to hear the stories, and those tour guides are just telling the stories that they know that they want to hear, unless somebody like you speaks up. And like it happens, and then you can go back and forth on it. But I mean, once again, it's just really fascinating. I just want to make sure I ask you this question before we go, because last time when we talked about 2012, and we talked about the Mayans in New Mexico and Chichen Itza, and you were saying that the Mayans had said that 2012 is the misinformation is that it's not the end, it's just a new beginning.
Just a new beginning.
And so like what I was saying to you was, okay, well, 2012 came and went, and hey, you know what I mean?
It's gone now.
But we're now in a new beginning at 2020. What is that? Like about 8 years off, huh? And so
well,
I'm just asking you, what do you think about this, whole, because would you consider that we are in like a new beginning now?
Yeah. There's many different kind of cycles. Now, you can feel it, the new beginning. It's clear. Now,
the adjustment is clear.
I was kind of like waiting for 2020 a while ago anyway. I was watching there's a good documentary on YouTube. It's called The Black Buddha of Asia.
Wow.
And he talks about the future Buddha will return in 2020.
Really?
So it's done by a guy called Eugene Adams. Now the funny thing is about this, you don't see the man facing it. You just hear his voice. But that's enough, because the voice resonates.
Okay.
So sometimes
what was his prediction about the Black Buddha of Asia?
Yeah, he's going to bring justice and harmony to the planet, and the same story of all the prophets returning. The same story.
You know what?
Similar stories.
Here's a crazy one. What if George Floyd is the Black Buddha of Asia?
Well, you mean to be resurrected, come back?
No, meaning that the incident and death of George Floyd galvanized the world more than a nation.
also coronavirus as well,
Yeah, well,
because that
forget.
came before.
I mean, legal terms we can't talk about it. But
Yeah, yeah.
I just mean is that
Mm.
it's just a weird, strange thing. I'm just
Oh
saying,
yeah,
and I'm throwing
definitely.
it out there,
Yeah,
because I mean, it's not like don't get me started. It's just the fact that this one particular man's death galvanized the world because it got all 50 states of America to unite and walk.
yeah,
That's never, ever happened. Probably won't happen again, but it's never happened. So that one death galvanized the world because it went from America to all the other countries,
global.
right? So that one man's name is on everybody's lips. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that's the only reason why I just said
yeah.
to what you
Because
just said.
sometimes you get the negative come into life. Now, choosing how you choose to deal with the negative is another issue.
Right.
This is why I try and tap into being a bit spiritual. Because if you just take on the negativity, then this planet at the moment, there's a lot of negativity going on it.
True.
And I'm talking about the planet like it's a person.
Yeah, no, it's hurting. It's hurting. I mean, the planet's in pain.
The planet's in pain. It's
I mean, you got wildfires everywhere.
Yeah.
You got all of the global. I mean, it's never happened, bruh. It's kind of like being in the plagues of Egypt, and everything. This stuff is.
within serious times. Now,
Yeah.
like I say, don't always take the negative, or take the negative and make it positive.
Okay.
Whatever
Make
way
it
you're going to.
positive before
Because
we go.
if everybody just bees negative, then the planet is unbalanced. And there's balances like, it's like Ma'a in Egypt, the scales. You say when you die, they're gonna look at your past and decide where you're gonna go, the
Yeah.
afterlife and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, some people that's just mythical, but I think there's something more to it that we can't see,
Yeah.
and that's when we start touching on the spiritual.
Yeah.
And a lot of these tribes, or not just tribes, also traditional people, they'll always usually believe that they're always very spiritual. They believe in nature, the one with the earth. We're one with God. We're not. It's not a separate thing. It's when
No. I get you. I get you.
yeah,
I mean, it's just amazing stuff anyway, James. And I just gotta just say, man, it's always a pleasure you coming in to blow minds and stuff. And what I also just wanted to say is that for those who've been watching on the community podcast, well, we had representatives from the Black Fest here last week, and and we got a series of events coming up at the end of this month, and seems that like someone has tapped you to tap me to tap us. A gentleman named Tayo Oloko,
Oh, yeah.
who is going to, I think he's opening the event in some way, and everything like that. But obviously, a friend of yours, and all I could say is, look, instead of you speaking for Tayo's always welcome to come here on a community podcast and stuff. But you did wanted to say something about him.
yeah. Well, it's been great. He watched the first podcast I did on Big Condo Radio, enjoyed it, and he said that with me being global, he's doing a poem, and his poem is global. He's got people all around the world, even translating into different languages. And he said, and I think you would be the perfect person here to read his poem, because he feels that I could relate to a cultural level on a global scale. So I said, yeah, that's an honor for me to do that. I don't mind. I haven't actually done it yet, but I've agreed to do it. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks. I'm not sure exactly when. It's actually already started.
I think no. It's the last week of September. So.
Oh, the last week.
Yeah. It hasn't started yet, and everything.
Okay.
So, but yeah. So, but either way, if Tayo does want to come on, he's definitely welcome to come on to here on a community podcast. Which, again, like I said, is here at Big Condo Radio. Please like and subscribe if you like this. being that you have a big fan base, James, tell your fan base, please like and subscribe. If you like content like this, let us know. And I mean, James has already been here 3 times. It's like we put a bed for him over there. So,
That's it.
you know what I mean? But I actually am fascinated to have you here because this is I think even Lawrence Westcalf has said this is the kind of conversation that we should be having, So
Yeah.
once again, I want to thank you for coming in, James, and sharing your knowledge and your visitations from around the world. And this one was pretty eye-opening, especially when we started to talk about, the whole polytheism and different things going on. And everything seems to stem from Africa, so it's great to hear the actual names. Instead of just saying that,
Yeah.
you're giving us actual indigenous tribes that you visited
Yeah.
and telling us a bit about them. So that's why I encourage people to check out, say it once again, Cultural Solutions?
Culturolution.
Culturolution.
Yeah.
Maybe come up with a different name. But either way, I encourage people to check out Cultural
Well,
Solutions.
Culturolution.
Culturolution.
I call it Culturolution because I deal with the
It
roots.
sounds clever, but it's hard to say.
The roots of cultures. Now, the reason why I come out with Culturolution because I was going to call it,
Culturolution.
the first name I was going to call it was Diboe.
No. Okay.
That
So
was the
anyway,
original,
all right.
but
I gave him enough
Culturolution,
for that.
that's
So,
it.
like Culturolution. So either way, is find James Diboe and his Culturolution site and everything, and please, talk to him. He's very open to share his knowledge with everyone. So once again, I'm thanking James for coming here on the Community Podcast. I'm Chief Johnson Lynch. You've been watching the Community Podcast here on Big Condo Radio, and we're available on both Facebook and YouTube. Mainly YouTube. This comes out on YouTube, and then we play it again on Facebook and everything. And so please also comment when you see the site, because that only just encourages more people to see the site. The more
Yeah.
comments we actually have on the video itself,
Yeah.
and I know James watches it. So then in that aspect, if you ask James a question on the channel,
Yeah.
he will probably respond.
That's it.
Well, that's how it is, isn't it?
Yeah, before we go to other tribes, I'll just give you the names so people can research it themselves.
Yeah.
In the Philippines, we've got the ETA, AETA.
Yeah.
Now, the ETA,
Kind of.
now, in the Philippines, there's a large group of these people. There's a large group, and like you say, these are the black people of Asia, the first peoples who reached Asia first.
Yeah.
And the ETA, they have their animism. They believe in the ancestors and very
Kind
traditional.
of like the animal gods or
Yeah.
or person. Yeah.
And then obviously in Thailand. Now with Thailand, I'd actually done this the first time in the nighttime.
Yeah.
I reached in the nighttime the jungle. It was an experience. I had torches. You've got tigers in these places as well, snakes. And this was an experience. I ate with them
Yeah.
as well. And that was my greatest experience when I reached there in the nighttime.
What'd you eat?
Well, they had a potato. I was eating these potatoes.
No, I was just wondering if you ate meat. That's
No,
all.
no.
Okay. I mean, it would be strange that we believe in the animal gods, and here we go. We just cut up this carcass for you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? All right. But anyway, no. But thanks a lot again, once again, James. I mean,
I appreciate it. Anytime.
Yeah. So this has been the Community Podcast. Here for you, we're talking to individuals within the community who have something to say that we think you should hear. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
All
Pleasure.
right.